Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, coming to you live from COG Studios on a Wednesday, July 24th. That's right, another Wednesday show. Why? Because I said so. The LA Galaxy getting a surprise. I don't know what to say about that win. A surprise win over Club Tijuana in the first ever Leagues Cup game. We're going to talk about that to start off everything. Of course, getting you ready for the game against Portland coming up on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. kickoff time for that. Zlatan Ibrahimovic will be in attendance at that particular game. We'll discuss the suspensions and all of the crazy details that were spinning around there. And of course, we got Galaxy news for you, including an update on Christian Pavone and the wild goose chase that continues to be. All right, in order to help me do that, we have him back. You missed him, I'm sure, a little bit. I mean, it's been almost 7 days since the last time you saw him. It's Eric Portuguese Hammer back in the studio. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
How's it going, Josh?
I'm hanging in there.
Can you see me?
I got.
I'm here for the invasion.
I was gonna say.
I'm here for the invasion.
I was gonna say you need to explain. you need to good pod this.
I was gonna say this is why you need to watch the live feed on YouTube.
Yes.
And again, not only watch, but make sure you subscribe as well, because we're getting dangerously close to that 1,000 mark, which is important, I hear. But I came fully wardrobe today. There was a wardrobe budget. You know, I went to my nearest Walmart and I found some camouflage clothing to wear today. You know, I'm going to use this vest later on, probably do some fishing, you know, be a little incognito. But, you know, in honor of the invasion last Friday, I decided to camo it up today.
Dude, if you could see the chat room right now, I can't handle it. The chat room. Josh doing a solo show tonight?
Yeah.
Where's Eric? I hear him, but I don't see him.
I'm invisible.
He's invisible.
Again, this is great pod.
I know it is.
It's good video.
No,
yeah, that's why you got to watch.
It is one of the reasons that you should watch. It's one of the reasons that you should go to YouTube and like and subscribe to us. You know, turn on those notifications as well. Smash that like button. I got to get my YouTube.
So you've been watching too many videos.
I have.
We should make slime. I think that's how we get more hits.
That's what it is.
That's the key to success.
Or we could always go back to our tried and true LA Galaxy ASMR. So we could do that too. So
Zlatan.
Yeah, exactly.
In the 8th minute,
Zlatan goal. So we could do that as well.
All right,
anyway,
done.
Yeah, we're done with this show.
All right,
already.
good night, everybody.
Have a good one.
See you in Portland.
All right, the LA Galaxy getting a like I said, a surprising win over the Xolos of Tijuana. We want to talk about that, but Eric hasn't been on since the LA Galaxy won El Trafico.
El Trafico. We were down going into the game. You know, maybe a little bit pessimistic, but given the results last season, you never really counted yourself out, and my heart couldn't make myself bet against them. And again, the atmosphere, we talked about it last year from the first El Trafico, and the atmosphere just being amazing. And you think, well, there's got to be a downward tick, and there wasn't. You know, I brought a friend who was a neutral fan, not really a soccer fan, but wanted to see what it was all about. He said, this feels like a playoff, you know, football game, an NFL game. So you can definitely feel it in the atmosphere. And obviously with the LAFC early goal, then, you know, maybe you think, okay, well, here it goes. This is where we're going to go. But a wise man once told me, don't peak too soon.
Don't peak too soon.
Too soon. And that's what happened. And then once there was a triple save, you know, that came pretty shortly after that. And that's what I said, okay, with going from 0 shots on goal to having 3 in quick succession, you could tell the Galaxy were turned on for that game. And then, of course, Zlatan with the magic for that first goal, and then the second and the third. And it was just, you know, not only were they on the shoulders of Zlatan, but a great team performance. I mean, that was, you mentioned it on your pod earlier this week. That's the best performance they've put in all season, and what a game to put it in. Fabio, Jonathan, Polenta, Araujo, they were all stellar that day. So, again, smiling ear to ear. I teased it last time.
Right.
Shirt came off.
Shirt came
off. You know, I was challenged. You don't challenge me and say, hey, if they get the lead goal, you got to take the shirt off, right? I said, of course. That's how it works.
That was gross again. I mean, quite honestly, I'm having flashbacks, a little PTSD from the last time you did it.
It's a good time.
No, it was you know, I don't know how to explain those games. You know, they're different than an MLS Cup because there's a lot behind an MLS Cup whenever you're there, and having been to, you know, 4 MLS Cups, the sort of just the energy that's in the stadium is infectious.
You feel it. You really do feel it.
But this is different than that even. Yeah. It's more electric. It's more tension.
I think that's what it is. The fact that you have bitter rivals and there's opposition and say what you will about the stadium and the opposing fans, but they're scattered throughout the stadium. So having that in proximity, it's not truly a home field advantage, and for either game, because it happens when we travel across town as well. But that adds a little extra something to the game, and it's unlike any other sporting event in Los Angeles. It's really the hottest ticket in town, and something that moving forward, it's something you got to prepare every season to plan on being there if you're a Galaxy fan.
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to do. I'll tell you, I think the LA Galaxy organization as a whole was very proud of the event that they put on, and they should be, because no major altercations, I should say.
Big police presence.
Big police presence, big security presence.
And we know this, for the most part, everyone behaves and plays nice. Obviously, you want to have the police presence, because there's always going to be that 10%, that 15% who are going to take it a step too far. So that's why you need to have those safety measures in place. But in general, most things, again, not everything, because we saw some video surface of some other things that happened. But, for the most part, they put on a good event, and everything went off fairly uneventful as far as the fans or any major issues off the field.
There's a thing that happens in these games. It's kind of funny, like physiologically to me. Whenever I'm in the press box, obviously there's no cheering and you can't be real loud. But I mean, people acknowledge good passes, good goals, whether it's for either side, however you want to look at that. But whenever it comes to these games, there's so much energy in the stadium that I end up getting like overhyped just by sitting there, and like I can't type, like my hands shake just trying to type things. And I already have a MacBook Pro that has the world's worst keyboard on it. If you hit A, it gives you like 7 A's, and you're like, I only hit it once. I don't even know what happened. So I'm already stumbling through that. But anyway, it was interesting just trying to sort of get there and watch. And every time something happens, Vela scores, that ratchets up that electricity a little more, and it tweaks.
Tighten just a little bit.
My favorite tweet was from a reporter in quotation marks that I'm not exactly a big fan of, but went out there and said after Vela scored his goal, said basically, at 29 years old, where is Carlos Vela? He's leading El Trafico. What is Zlatan doing? On a penalty kick. And I'm like, wow. I go, when tweets go bad 4 minutes later, right?
Again, don't peak too soon.
Don't do it.
Yeah, listen.
That's one of those that you have in the chamber. You wait till after the game.
Yes.
You're like, man, this is going to be good. Put it in the drafts. Send it later.
Absolutely. There's a lot of game left to be played.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
Good stuff.
We'll get to some other stuff that sort of surrounded that game, and certainly, as Eric said, there was a video about seats being, and I'll tell you a little story about all that as well. So want to get to it, but really we're talking about the Leagues Cup game, which is hysterical.
The Leagues Cup. Does it have like Champions League theme?
Right. No? You don't? No? Maybe? I don't know.
Leagues Cup. I think we could make it happen.
Just
in that manual, do they not reference a theme song?
They do not reference. You know what they do reference though? Ball racks.
Where was
reference some ball racks. I have pictures. I tweeted pictures today of ball racks.
I reposted them.
They
were stands.
I had Britt Campbell, who is our photographer. We have Steve Carrillo, who shoots some photos for us, and then Britt Campbell, who is credentialed by Corner of the Galaxy to shoot photos at a game. Britt's awesome. She does some of the best crowd work photos that I've seen, and I really like those. I would honestly just do posts of people in the stands, like standing.
That's where the magic is.
It is. There's a lot of that, but she also did a great job. She has a GIF of Zlatan scoring the first goal that is outstanding.
Sequence,
and it's a sequence of photos, so you get the jump through it. It's outstanding. So she did that. But for this Tijuana game, I literally I texted her. I'm like, hey, I know this sounds stupid, but I need you to take pictures of the ball racks. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the ball racks. They're behind the goal. You'll see them. Give me like 3 or 4 pictures of them. I'm gonna need those.
Give me different angles, different lighting.
Yeah, before this game even started, I did send Chris Glidden, LA Galaxy PR. I sent him a text message saying, "Hey, so can you get me on the field so I can take a picture next to the ball racks?" And he's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes."
You didn't invoke the "It's my birthday."
I tried.
Okay.
I tried. He was like, "I'm gonna have to say no." So yeah. Anyway,
well, you got your pictures. Shout out to Britt.
It is. Britt took care of me there and got those pictures. So anyway, ball racks. But here's the game that we really didn't talk about all that much because we were saying it doesn't matter. This is a cash grab. Don't pay any attention to it. And I stand by that, by the way. This was not a game that the Galaxy. Oh, and by the way, the I don't know what you want to call it, but it's not even gatekeeping, but it was the virtue signaling that was going on whenever the Galaxy announced the reserve lineups against a first team top flight, a Club Tijuana, the Xolos lineup was the same one that had beat Puebla earlier on Friday. 3-1 in Liga MX, their first game. So they go Oscar Pareja, by the way, who's one of my favorite people. Oscar Pareja's Xolos come in, start a top one, and then you have guys. There's a guy on there. I don't even know how to pronounce his name because he's with G2, and it's like, who is this guy?
I'm not gonna mess it up.
Yeah, who is this guy, and what is he doing on the field and stuff like that? And then you had these reporters going out there saying how, this is a travesty. The LA Galaxy aren't taking it seriously. And first of all, it's like, how seriously do you want people to take this?
What are the stakes? That's the thing. What are the stakes? If this is something where it gets them a berth into next year's Leagues Cup, but what do you get for winning the Leagues Cup outside of the satisfaction of saying you won the first Leagues Cup? Maybe this turns something down the line, but when you don't know that, you can't say take it seriously. But I think given the schedule, they took it as seriously as they needed to, and I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into it, but these B team guys, these guys who aren't regular starters, it's important for them to get competitive minutes. And if they're getting them against a first choice Tijuana side, that's not a bad thing either. So you can not like that it's a cash grab, but still support the team and support the guys who are out there getting competitive minutes, because down the line, that's going to be helpful when you need depth in a playoff run.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. It's crazy a little bit in just how this goes out. I mean, you can say this one, there's always going to be a footnote next to this one anyway, right?
Yes.
Whoever wins this, there's a footnote next to it that says nobody qualified for this. We selected like 4 teams and 4 teams, and we're like, hey, who wants to do this? We drew straws, short straws, and that's who we don't know.
All the games were played in the United States, even though this is a...
And that seems like that's going to continue, by the way. So, it's a cash grab. Again, we get it. That being said, the Galaxy took it exactly as seriously as they should have been, and I can't believe this, but they won the thing. And not only did they win it, I was thoroughly entertained for 90 plus minutes. So it was funny. We sat there, and the whole reporter sort of view on these games is, hey, let's not go to extra time. Like it's one of those. Yeah. Granted, we all knew that it was going straight to penalty kicks if it did, but we're like, let's not get there. Let's not really try to do that. You don't want to be there any longer than you are, and you're already starting at 8:07 or 8:08. It was a
late start already.
Whenever it came to starting on a Tuesday, and whatever, it's one of those. It was just a long night, and it was my birthday, and I was like, this is what I'm doing on my birthday. I'm coming to a game that doesn't matter and do all that. So we got there. We got to the stadium. We saw the lineups announced. We said, okay, this game probably will get out of hand, and that's okay. And then the Galaxy go and score first. And I'm like, okay. And then
off the rear end of Ima Boateng. What a way to score.
Ima says he stuck his leg out on purpose. So
that was his leg? He's saying that's his leg?
Yes,
okay.
that was his leg.
You got it, Ima.
So anyway, so they had that, all that. They score first. Then Tijuana comes back and scores 2 after that. So now you're like, okay, it's over. And at halftime, I talked to a whole bunch of people, and I'm like, this game's over now. We're all good. This is fine.
We showed a little something, but now they're going to go out there, get their run, their practice for the week.
And then Dave, Governor Romney.
DR4.
He's our
best striker, I'm telling you.
He's
our second best striker.
He comes out of nowhere. It was hysterical, by the way. His quote is, I don't know who was marking me because they weren't. Right? But he goes,
he was wide open. They mentioned that on the TV broadcast also. There's like, how open can Dave Romney get? Yeah, he was pretty wide open.
Yeah.
He almost walked the ball on the goal. Yeah,
it's totally a different thing. So, I mean, you see that, and they tie it, and then they stretch this out. Here's your lineup. You had Matt Lampson in goal, who ends up becoming a hero in this game. Didn't have a great 90 minutes. Had a really good penalty shootout, and that's all that matters.
That's when you needed him to be good.
You had, the only starters that you had in this game that had also started were Julian Araujo and Pipo Gonzalez. Everybody else had not started the previous game in the El Trafico, and I was surprised that Araujo and Gonzalez were in there a little bit. But
Gonzalez was surprising a little bit, but I also get it too, to have some consistency and a veteran presence, and it made sense. And it was nice to see him get the captain's armband, someone with the experience that he has, and you can tell that he knows how to lead a team. It felt like he was the right guy for this situation.
He seems like he's just a solid sign. I mean, Larry Morgan, not on Twitter, said basically, he was like, listen, Dave Romney has been the LA Galaxy's most consistent defender throughout these first 21 games. And he says, but Pipo Gonzalez has been their best defender. And I'm like,
did you say
that's Dave? Dan Stairs.
I was going to say,
Dan Stairs.
Has Dave played 21 games?
Yeah, Dan Stairs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dan Stairs.
Those American defenders, they all look the same. But no. So Dan Stairs has been the most consistent. But it's Pipo Gonzalez who's been the best, and I think Diego Polenta could be the most dangerous.
I was going to say Polenta. I'm a Polenta guy. I like a fiery. If you know anything about my love for Zlatan and someone who likes to get after it, I'm a Polenta guy. He's probably my favorite defender back there. But you need people to steady the ship like Gonzalez, like Steres. So
yeah.
it's all the perfect recipe.
So you had Carrasco and Cuello in the midfield. Cuello was meh. Carrasco was actually kind of outstanding when you look at the stats, and even if you watched it, you're like, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But it was really good for Servando Carrasco.
He did his job.
His wife in the stands, by the
Again,
way, watching.
Eating popcorn.
Eating
Yeah,
popcorn.
that was great.
Miss Alex Morgan, or Mrs. Alex Morgan, I should say. She was there. You had Boateng, and you had Efrain Alvarez playing in that Fabio Alvarez hole there.
Yes.
And then you had, of course, my favorite player, who I can't pronounce his last name. You had Kai.
You keep ducking it. I'm avoiding it. I'm letting you fall on the sword here.
Korniak.
Sounds right.
Why not? Let's go with it.
Korniak. You put some respect on his name. He has an assist.
Kai, if you want to come into the podcast and yell at us for how bad, we're more than welcome to have you anytime. So just come on in. But anyway, Kai was there. Played actually okay.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't an issue at all in terms of this. I mean, this whole thing is that the Galaxy didn't play great. Because if you go into the stats here, you can see that they got outshot 20-7.
Well, they looked like the stats look like they played against the first team Tijuana side.
They do. They got outshot 5-3 on target. But TJ had 11 shots off target. I mean, the Galaxy. Here's what I liked about this: is you watch this LA Galaxy team that was reserves, that was B and C team players, and they came out and they played in the same formation that the senior team plays in, and they played in the same style that the senior team formation is. And I gotta love that. The consistency.
A system. Yeah, that's a system thing. That's building a club from academy to reserves to first team. There is a system, there is a cohesion, which you love to see it.
Yeah, it's and that's what you want to see. I mean, that is what you want to see. The rotations, you want to see the same balls being played, you want to see the same runs being made. All that stuff happened. And listen, I didn't think Zubac was anything. He was also on an island all by himself, and he's playing against the first team.
We're asking a lot of them.
You're asking a lot of them. I get it. I understand that. But you go and look at this. I mean, possession almost 65% in terms of to the Xolos, 35. That's what great. That's exactly what should have happened in this one. It was because,
like we've said, the counter-attacking team with speed. That's what we want.
Direct.
Yes.
Be direct. Don't worry about anything else. It wasn't a perfect night, and nobody's going to say it was, but it was a perfect result. I mean, you did exactly what you needed to do, and the Galaxy knew it. About Matt Lamson said afterwards. He goes, about 75th minute, we knew that if we could get to PKs, then now we have a chance.
Well, if anyone, that's the goal. If you get to PKs, it's anyone's game. Anything can happen there, and then that's where you trust your keeper. And I think Lamson showed, with his size, that he's the right guy for that situation.
I mean, again, I want to be very clear. The Xolos missed about 3 or 4 sitters that probably they should have had.
And that's the other argument when people talk about the CONCACAF Champions League is the Liga MX teams are in full season, so they're going to be better than the MLS teams who are beginning of the season. So here it's kind of flipped for the Leagues Cup. Tijuana just started their season, so maybe some early season rust, and maybe that's why we saw some of those shots that may have connected. If we caught them in mid-season form, they weren't hitting those in this game.
Romney said afterwards, he goes, "It's good that we're getting them when they're not ready. Usually we're not ready."
Exactly. So it was a nice flip of the situation there.
Now here's the thing: there's a part of me that really wants to beat my chest about the fact that an MLS reserve team just beat a first team Xolos team, whether or not it's beginning of the season or not. I mean, there's something to that. I would imagine that the two payrolls aren't similar total, especially
Sounds
when
you said the two payrolls. I know they had a bald attacker up there, but
no,
not two pay, but
the two dos payrolls.
Okay, gotcha.
The two payrolls are probably, in terms of who was on the field at the time, were probably extremely slanted to one direction. And you want to be able to make those comparisons and say, well, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And I have to, and I keep doing that in my head. I keep going, well, what does this mean? And I keep coming to the same conclusion. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, here's what it means to me. Here's what I think. I think for the GBS critics saying that, the team looked unmotivated at times, inconsistent. I think you saw from this team, even though it was, B/C team players, you saw fight there, and you saw a team that got up for the game, and they were playing, with quote unquote heart. And again, I hate to be that guy because it's not
not really. Most of the time, it's not hard,
and especially when the stats don't show anything in their favor.
Right.
But you can tell these players were up for the game, and I think that says something about the coaching that GBS is doing something right to get these players motivated. So that's a positive that you could take away from it. You could say it means nothing, but at the same time, this is 2 games in a row in a short amount of time where the teams got up for the games, and it's a different crew of players, and yet both sets of players looked ready to play.
Matt Lamson had 3 penalty kick saves.
That's huge.
We asked him afterwards. We had to wait for him. I want to talk a little bit about Matt Lampson. I want to talk about two things before we get there. But basically, we asked him after the game, and I think Damian Calhoun asked, and he said, well, how much prep do you really do with these? And he goes, listen, this is my job. I wasn't out there guessing.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like,
wow.
Okay.
He knew.
So
you did his homework.
You're sort of like, okay, this is
and that's the one thing, a PK shootout at this point of the season, you don't see this
ever.
You don't know.
Into the playoffs.
Into the playoffs, and you don't know how your players are going to react in this situation. So anytime you can expose your players, regardless if it's B players or first team players, whenever you can expose them to a penalty shootout, that's a good thing. And Servando Carrasco, Boateng, and Pipo Gonzalez were clinical. Those were great finishes. And Lampson, to his credit, again, I didn't hear the quotes, but it didn't look like he was guessing, because that's one thing when you watch penalties taken. Sometimes the goalies just fly in one direction. Right. It looks like it was just a wild guess. The way he held position, it's like he studied the players. He knew what to do. And like you said, he did it like it was his job. He did excellent in goal, because these weren't misses. They were saves.
They were saves. No, there was 3 saves. And by the way, the only miss really from Efrain Alvarez, who hit the inside of the post and doesn't go in.
Hey, Efrain, I've been there. That hurts. That hurts more than missing it wide.
Well, Lampson said afterwards, he goes, if you start guessing, then you're just playing the odds.
Yeah.
And he goes, we don't want to play the odds. We want to know. And it's like, well, yeah, you do. And so, we were sort of talking to him, and I think Damien and some other reporters were there, and we were sort of talking and with Matt, and we were trying to figure out if he would give away what it was that he saw. And it's like, nope, that's like a magician's secret. There's Nick Ramondo's never going to tell you how he knows which way guys are going, and it's homework, certainly. Yeah. He goes, but Lampson did talk. He goes, it's all about tendencies for the most part, and it's like...
And body language, too.
Yeah. So there's lots of that. I'll tell you this, that with the playoff format this year being single elimination, you're going to have more shootouts.
Yes.
And so getting this under their belt.
Yeah, no away goals rule to bail them out here.
The other thing I want to talk about before I really dive into Matt Lampson and tell you sort of how I look at these stuff, is that these players, and they sort of mentioned this as it was going. We were sort of, what's the motivation? And Dave Romney said, it's about getting paid. And I was sort of like, getting paid? I'm like, are they getting
Dave
paid?
Dave Romney cashing those checks with that header of his.
They're getting paid. The players who play in these games get paid per game to play in them. And that's like a bonus. That
makes sense, because once you get knocked out, you're not going to make anything. So you pay to play. You keep going.
You keep going. Yeah. So the more, really, and Matt Lampson was talking about as well. He goes, it's not only a chance for a paycheck, but it's about time, and it's about tape, which I thought was really. He goes, okay, this is about tape, and we're sort of like, what? He goes, listen. He goes, I've played for I've been in this league for 8 years, and I played multiple teams. He goes, and that's how most of these guys are going to be. They're going to have to go around and find their way at different teams, and they're not going to stay in one place their whole career. And he goes, and so this game is a game to get themselves on tape, so that way somebody sees them and says, I want to give that guy a try.
Yeah, so at the beginning, in December, when the LA Galaxy put up a hype video of the new player they signed, this is the situation. This is where they get those clips.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so it certainly was a little interesting. Anyway, so I mean, that's the game. It means as much as you want it to mean. It means nothing. It means everything. Guillermo talked about it meaning confidence. He said, yes. and the problem is that with this game means adding another game.
and we'll talk about where that lands in the schedule also, right?
It's not great in terms of timing, but he says, regardless of that, it's about confidence. Yeah. And you saw what happened against LAFC and beating a good team. And he goes, and we beat professional players tonight. He goes, and Guillermo knew them all.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah, I played with this guy, or I know this guy. He's been in Argentina forever.
This guy's uncle. We went to high school together.
Yeah. By the way, I think I tweeted this out, but if you missed it, it was one of my only good jokes I had on the night, pretty much. But there was a guy named Washington Camacho on TJ's.
Wasn't he the president of Idiocracy?
Yeah, I think so. And I said that I texted that to my wife as possible baby names. Washington Camacho Guesman. I mean, come on.
Flows right off the tongue.
It just works.
WCG.
Yeah, it's perfect. So I thought that was great as well. But going back to Guillermo Barros-Schelotto and the way he talked about confidence, he talked about I loved how some people try to twist this quote, and I'm just like, there's nothing there, guys. Just calm down. He says they played like men. He was sort of saying, he was hinting at the fact they didn't play like boys, like they didn't play like young players. They played like men tonight. Matt Lampson said, whatever we needed to do to win, we did.
Yeah,
and he goes,
that's why we say it didn't mean anything. It meant something to those players on the field. And like you said, whether they were doing it for themselves to be put on the highlight reel or to make that extra money, they had something to play for, and you can tell the difference between this and then a regular Wednesday regular season game that, away at Colorado that you may not have seen the same fire.
Or even a U.S. Open Cup in Portland, earlier, that type of thing. Mike Gray comes in with Washington Mountain Dew Camacho.
Oh, there it is.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
It's got electrolytes and stuff.
It does. It's good for the body. So that's how it is. Let's get to some quotes real quick from these guys. I just thought it was interesting. Guillermo said, we know we were playing with professional teams. We know we can't make a mistake. I know a lot of them. And he goes through and he lists all the guys, basically he knows, including Washington Camacho. He's a new one, but I know him because he spent 10 years playing in Argentina. So they have good technique, good experience, so we couldn't give them the possibility to do something in offense. I think we felt a little loose in the last 20 minutes of the first half. Certainly was a swing there, and he's right on that. But the first 25 minutes of the second half, we always fought. We were on the game. Every player that was on the pitch was fighting and trying to do something. And even when we had a goal, we had to do something. I said to guys before the game, you have to play one-on-one when you get the ball near the box. We tried and got the first one. We took advantage of the set pieces in the second one. And then when we tied 2-2, the team was fighting. They fought. Not like young players, like men. We got the tie and got the penalty shootout. So I'm very happy for the players because a lot of them are very young. But they start to feel it, and they feel there will be a future with us.
Yeah, and then when you step on the field, I've won before. I could do it again.
We asked him about Matt Lampson. Blew my mind. We asked if he had played any games this year when it's sort of in the question. He goes, he played the game for the Open Cup in Portland, but I know him. I played with him in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow, I did not know that.
So I know him. I think he had to wait because our other goalie is David Bingham, but I think he's ready. In training, he showed today that he's ready when the team needs him.
Wow.
I didn't know he played with
I didn't know that either.
I was telling that
That's amazing.
Lampson afterwards, and it was great. They said basically about getting ready to play Cruz Azul, which will be the opponent. He says we'll go game by game, trying to find a balance and also finding balance in our games. The truth is that in our recent results in the derby against LAFC or today's result against Club Tijuana, it gives us a lot of positive energy to face these series of games that we have to play as visitors and to be prepared to see how far we can get in this tournament. Should be noted, about 70-30 Xolos fans to LA Galaxy fans.
Which was to be expected.
No problems there.
Yeah, and if I saw a little bit of gatekeeping or virtue signaling, whatever you want to call it. Oh, why didn't Galaxy fans show up to this? It's like, to see a B team after, what's an apparent cash grab. So I could see if you took a moral stance where you weren't going to go, you can still support the team, but you're also voting with your money and not supporting how this came about. So I get it. One thing that came to my mind as you were going over those Schelotto quotes, he knows the players who played in Argentina. It's possible, if you want to take a positive out of this, first team players in Liga MX, these are, quote unquote, more talented players. They come to Dignity Health Sports Park. They see Guillermo Barros Schelotto have a winning team. Maybe this is like a recruiting adventure. If I remember correctly, Tijuana have played the LA Galaxy in the past, and I think that's where Juninho ended up, him being noticed and going down there.
Yeah.
So maybe it works in reverse.
Oh, it works in reverse.
And I think GBS is able to maybe do a little bit of a recruiting pitch and say, hey, look how nice our stadium is. I've got the guys, working hard for me. Maybe this is a place you want to come down the road. So I think if you want to take another positive of this, maybe, when Cruz Azul comes this way, maybe he's able to make those same connections and this will stick in the back of those players' minds.
Well, not only that, but, you put the GBS understanding that he sees all these players from Argentina playing in Liga MX, and then you put Dennis DeClose's connections with Mexico. It's just like, oh, okay. So who wants to come? Raise your hand. And that's sort of one of those things you can do. Matt Lampson comes out. Here's my I now love Matt Lampson thing. And this is as Eric and I were talking about before.
I was going to say, we knew this because when he was signed for the season, we learned about his foundation and all the things that he does after the games. And if you follow him on Instagram, you see he does meet and greets with cancer survivors. So he's really, you can tell he's a stand-up guy. So to see him get his moment in the light, it's part of this is, we kind of knew this, but to see him in the spotlight, it was kind of nice.
So Matt walks out, and he was the last one to come out. He was exhausted, and we kind of knew that. And so he walked out very slowly, sort of walks up to us, and he goes, hey, guys. He goes, I'm sorry it took so long. I'm exhausted, and, I was back there getting treatment. And he goes, but I'm out here now, and I want to answer your questions. I want to do the best job I can, but you just know that I'm usually not that insightful or something to that. And we're all like...
And that's a good quote.
You're like good quote. That's a good quote. We like that one. All right, Matt, let's talk a little bit. And so, just asking about some different questions. So here's Matt Lampson, and I'll try to do my best to sort of also put this into the feeling that I got when talking to him as well. He says, I just get paid to make saves and keep the ball out of the back of the net. That one thing right there is so anti-goalkeeper. It's almost crazy. I mean, listen, goalkeepers are the craziest people you're ever going to hang out with. Alexi Lawless, and I know I've quoted it many times, says the
Hold
best.
on, you want to pick that up?
Yeah.
Drop that name.
Drop
there.
that. Oh, Clank. No, sorry. Alexi, said to me, he said and he said it on TV a million times too. It's one of his quotes. If it's like super team.
Yeah.
This is one of them. He goes, the best night of your life and the worst night of your life will be the night you spend out with a goalkeeper.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit off.
You got to be a little off to be able to just stand there and do that. So anyway, so Matt comes out and goes, I just get paid to make saves and keep the ball out of the back of the net. When I do that, that's just part of the job. I don't need to celebrate. It's up to the rest of these guys on the team to put the ball in the back of the net. I only do half the job, and the rest of the team puts it away. I'm just happy to do my part of the job, and luckily we're going on to the next round. Can
we get this guy on the COG team? I mean, that's a perfect teamate answer.
I mean, quite honestly, I'm thinking about if he's up for it, just replacing you, because that would be.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
well, I'm not even here.
You're not even. Yeah, exactly. You're not actually here right now. He goes on, they said, what does winning this tournament mean? He goes, it's huge. These guys that we had on the field tonight haven't had a lot of minutes this season. This group of guys going up against a team like Xolos is a massive statement to the type of guys we have on this team and the depth that we have. I'm just really proud to be a part of it. And I'm pulling off the win. He says, this team has a lot of heart. We're a tight-knit group. We're all there for each other. You saw it after the game. We had our first team guys run onto the field and celebrate with us. And that means a lot to everybody because everybody is invested in the wins and everybody is pushing everybody else to be better. That's what you need for an entire team to be successful in a season.
Yeah. That's huge.
We talked about this LAFC game. We talked about the LAFC game and the possibility of it being a turning point.
Yeah,
we talked about it, it was a cohesive moment that if they could rally against, quote unquote, the best team in Major League Soccer, that has the best player in Major League Soccer, and if they could do that and get a positive result out of that, and it could mean something.
This fuels them, especially, around the All-Star break, this past the midway point. This is where the rubber meets the road. So this is where, again, don't peak too soon. This is where you want to start gelling, want to start clicking, and start peaking. And then if you bring in that final piece, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well, that can be the final piece that brings it all, be like the dude. It really brought the room together, man. So that final piece could be what propels this Galaxy team to make a run. We've said it before. They showed it last Friday. They can beat anyone on any given day. It's just a matter of can they do it 4 times in a row, and where are they going to be playing those games?
I also have to call this out too. I mean, the loss to San Jose at home. I sat here and told you that there's a leadership issue, right?
Yeah.
And there is. And I think that still remains. When they win, it's less of an issue, right?
Well,
it's like one of those.
And Zlatan with his. If you want to call it antics, when they lose, they're antics and it's a problem. When they win, it's look at this guy.
It's character.
Yeah, look at the the quote machine that he is and the motivational guy that he is. So you're right. When they're winning, it's good, and when they're not, it's not very obvious. Good pod there.
Yeah.
But you can see this being a turning point, and you saw Bingham going out and backing up Lamson and posting about him and running out onto the field. I think those little things. That's what makes teams make deep runs. You could have all the talent in the world and be successful, but when you're a cohesive unit, that's when you really see things start to pop off.
Dave Romney on his goal. I just want to get this quote. I don't know who was marking me because they weren't. It was one of the easier goals you'll score. I didn't really do much. It was
maybe they were in camo.
They were in camo. You don't know. They could have been there. Dave, open your eyes. It was just a great goal by Efrain and just a lapse of defending. It's not like I did anything spectacular. Just right place, right time. You can make a lot of money by being right place at the right time.
I was going to say, there's a lot of people who made careers of being in the right place at the right time.
Some people even got put on the U.S. men's national team maybe when they shouldn't have for quote unquote being in the right place at the right time. But hey, that's just me.
Don't talk about Alan Gordon like that.
Gordon. Alan Gordon. That's
he's a right place, right time guy.
He is.
Yeah.
He is absolutely.
Again, and I know that's not who we're talking about. Just for the record, so everyone, I love Alan Gordon.
I was subtweet. So that's where we go. All right. So that sort of wraps up the TJ game and just the points I wanted to make. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It actually means another game for the LA Galaxy, which then puts them in that game. By the way, coming up, Leagues Cup semifinal playing against Cruz Azul. The Galaxy will play Cruz Azul on August 20th. It will be at Dignity Health Sports Park. It'll probably be an 8 p.m. kickoff time again.
Yep, for TV scheduling purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's another Tuesday night.
Yeah, because the other side of the bracket is also on the same day.
Right, it's a doubleheader.
And it looks like, it'll probably be teams that are further east of us, not necessarily Eastern Conference teams because it's Real Salt Lake and the Houston Dynamo, but different time zones, so we'll get the later draw, there being on the West Coast.
By the way, I would like to, let's see if I can do this correctly without killing everybody.
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking news. Corner of the Galaxy YouTube channel. 1,000 subscribers.
We did it.
There we go.
We did it, everybody.
Those checks for 25 cents will become just screaming in now.
12.5 cents for me, folks.
Oh, yes. So, there it goes. Oh, so, by the way, chat room asking, before we get out of TJ, chat room, Travis says, you didn't bring up that topic about last night's game. And I know what that topic is, and I will gladly bring it up, is that the homophobic chant was live and well at Dignity Health Sports Park. And despite the fact that FIFA, let's see if I can get all these right. FIFA, CONCACAF, the FMF, which is the Mexican Football Federation, and the U.S. Soccer, and MLS, and Liga MX are all supposed to be trying to stomp out this chant. Now, clearly, as I was talking to somebody who covers the Xolos all the time, he goes, they, down in Mexico, it's kind of half-hearted attempt at trying to stop it most of the time. He goes, and he was the one telling me that it was all the Xolos fans doing it. I didn't make that assumption. I'm just telling you that's who it was. And you could see the Galaxy fans were trying to do their best to not have it go, but they did it over and over and over again. I counted 3, maybe 4 announcements that they made over the PA, and this is not going to stop basically until they go to threaten to abandon the game.
That's going to be the only way that this stops. I think at some point there's going to have to be some game of consequence where the referee stops the game and it either resumes behind closed doors or it gets forfeited. But that's the tough thing, is because you're not going to be able to say it was this specific fan group, even though you know it is. There's no way to officially target that. So unless there's some serious repercussions, it's just not going to stop. And I understand the cultural argument, but at the same time,
it's a really lame cultural argument.
At the same time, there are a lot of cultural things that that people just don't do anymore.
There are cultural things I used to do, and I said this and made this example. Whenever I was growing up, we used to call everything gay. It was like, that's gay, man. Yeah. And we didn't mean it homophobic way.
You're absolutely right, but I don't say it anymore.
But I don't say it anymore, and there's a reason I don't. Is imagine that I'm sure I had friends who were gay, and they probably didn't really enjoy that we were saying that all the time, and maybe that made them feel totally uncomfortable. And I imagine it would, and why would I ever want to do that?
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea, is just is the idea that you're so married to a word that you're willing to alienate a fan group or a group that wants to come to soccer, and I'm just against that. It's soccer for all, in my opinion, and I want to be as inclusive as possible, and just that's being exclusive whenever you do that, and you can't do that. And so that's my only thing. All right.
Good. Moving on.
Here we go. Done. Again, I know. I'll get more text messages and DMs that I don't, and I'm just a stupid white boy. I absolutely agree that I'm a stupid white boy. All right, but
it is what it is.
That's I can't change that. I'm going to be on the right side of history on this one. All right. So
and that's the thing. You're never going to change everyone's mind, but at the same time, if the rules are the rules and you enforce the rules, then that's where you're going to see change happen.
LA Galaxy, by the way, the Leagues Cup semifinal there, that's 4 games in 9 days. Whenever we told Dave Romney that, he got all excited. He said, sweet, so we'll get another run out. Basically saying that...
You know who's going to be playing in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right before El Trafico 2.0 as well.
That's Saturday at home against Seattle, Tuesday at home against Cruz Azul, and then Sunday away at LAFC. So busy week. And again, Seattle and LAFC, those are important MLS games and razor thin in the standings when it comes to the Western Conference, with the exception of that first place team. So those games are going to be very important down the line. So you may see DR4, our second best striker, getting another goal in the Leagues Cup.
There you go. That's how it goes. All right. Let's go back now. Trafico stuff a little bit, and talking about LAFC fans who destroyed bleachers. I'm going to tell you a little story about this, and you can sort of figure out whatever you want to take from this and however you want to, because you're going to do that anyway. But I'll tell you what I was able to do and how I had to go about this to do this. If you saw my tweet put out, I was the one to confirm that the video that was shot of destroyed bleachers at the game was a real video, and that those bleachers were destroyed by LAFC fans. I don't say supporters because it wasn't technically part of the official supporter section, but we can assume that it was supporters, and you're probably okay there. But fans, certainly people in camouflage, grouped together. Yes.
So that's where it gets. That's where where you say ban the game because this fan group was saying the chant. It's the same thing. You can't ban them because you can't single out. Well, these are card holding members of the supporter group. So ban them. You can't necessarily prove that. So that's where it gets in those muddy waters. But it was clearly fans of the opposition.
Yeah, and so I can confirm all that. The reason that you don't see any the reason that you don't see any articles on this, the reason that you don't see any stories outside of, and I know Kevin Baxter actually published it in his newsletter that came out and had probably the only quote that we're going to get out of any of this, and it had nothing to do with that. Basically, it was Brendan Hannon saying how proud he was of the event that they put on and that they were really happy with sort of the outcome, and that was the only thing that we were able to get. I asked the LA Galaxy for a damage assessment. They said that they weren't going to give one out. I asked the LA Galaxy for a comment on the broken bleachers. They said that they weren't going to give one out. Basically, they don't want us to report on this, and it's mostly because they feel like, and I don't think I'm putting words in their mouth, but they feel like that there's been a lot of pettiness between the two teams, and they're trying to eliminate that, and they actually just want to deal with this with LAFC and, out of the limelight, no press releases.
I was gonna say, I respect that move, especially given all the emotions and everything that's running hot this week, the firing back and forth, between fan bases, between players, between supporter groups, wanting to handle it behind closed doors. I respect that wish if they want to handle it this way, because if you continue to publicize it and give quotes and say it was this amount and it was this group, then you're just going to continue to fuel that fire, and you don't want necessarily bad press. There's that argument that any press is good press, but at the same time you don't want everyone to be talking about the ruckus in the stands as opposed to the product on the field, which was excellent on that night.
And like we said, it was a mostly quiet night. I was ready and fully willing to write an entire article. It actually took me about 30 minutes of talking to the team to actually get what I was able to confirm. So that less than 140 characters or less than 280 characters is about all I was able to get. There's no article on it. There's none of that. This is where it stays. I'll tell you right now, LAFC fans also took up the sound mats that were in the upper section there.
Were they sound mats? I thought
they were
to keep
for health
them
and
safe.
safety. Yeah, sure they were. That were actually tied down with zip ties. So how they broke the zip ties, that's harder to do than you think, by the way. So just knowing zip ties and having to do it.
Well, when you have enough people.
Yeah, you can just start yanking on them eventually. So they took those as well. I mean, it is what it is. And this rivalry is going to continue to be, a hate-filled rivalry.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But at the same time, I think for the most part, people acted like adults. I feel like the LA Galaxy are acting like adults, but there's not going to be any expose on cornerofthegalaxy.com where we tell you how much the damage was worth and these people did it and all that stuff.
They're going to be sanctioned with this punishment, which is unfortunate with what happened
last year
because
it was blown.
It seemed it was blown out of proportion, and groups were punished for their actions. And so
imagine
the fact that it's not going to happen in kind the other way, that's the part that
feels unfair.
It feels unfair, but at the same time, this is sometimes when you have to be the adult, you have to be the big brother and just say, okay, we're gonna we dealt with it. Might not necessarily be fair, but we're gonna live with it because we're gonna be better than that.
Well, imagine, and you don't have to imagine real hard, the disaster that it was last year at Bank of California Stadium really was mostly on the shoulders of LAFC.
Yeah, and it's because, and it wasn't just that section. Yeah. It was all around the stadium. There were incidents aplenty everywhere.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that one thing probably got published and was given. Again, I can't write an article if I don't have information, and it's one of those. I tried to write it for you guys.
The video is there.
The video is there. I showed the video.
What happened.
I showed the tweet. Yeah. That's all I can do, and that's all we're going to get out of this. So that's sort of the story. If you want to know, that's the real story. People are going to twist that to think that there's some other narrative going on. I'm here to tell you that at least from my reporting and what I was able to do, that's all I saw. So that's all I got from the LA Galaxy, and quite honestly, it's a tip of the hat to them in terms of how they chose to handle it. I understand it, and
you don't have to like it, but you have to respect it.
Yeah, it's gonna be what it is. All right, let's go on to more news now as we try to get you closer to the Christian Pavone rumors, and certainly we're gonna update you that as well as the injury rumors as well.
Say this is a weekly segment.
Tease. Yeah, I want to get you to those, but we have other things to talk about. One of the things is that the LA Galaxy have named Juan Carlos Ortega Director of Methodology and Development for the LA Galaxy there. What that really means is that he is now the LA Galaxy's Academy Director, that he oversees all academy decisions. So he was brought in. He was the technical and tactical coordinator for the Mexican Federation and had been with the Mexican Federation since 2009. He oversaw the youth national teams. He won a U17 World Cup, qualified for the U17 and U20 World Cups, served as head coach of the U15 Mexico youth national team. You're talking about a guy who is more than qualified to do what he's doing, and I love the fact that...
I was going to say, where'd they find this guy? Is there someone with connections to the youth Mexican system over there?
Do you know what I thought, though? This is what I thought. I go, if this is Chris Klein doing this, right? You would go like, dude's just hiring his friends. He was down there. Dennis is just hiring his friends. But
That's
you go
funny.
back, you
That's
go.
funny.
It is true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Dennis is. Dennis is exploiting his relationships, which is what you should do. But I mean, this is Dennis hiring his friend, but his friend just happens to be supremely qualified as well. So
it all works.
It all works, and it makes some sense. So, but they did this. The whole deal with this, and the reason that maybe you didn't hear about it, or maybe you didn't see really what was going on, is that this got announced the morning of El Trafico last Friday, and I questioned the timing of that whenever it came out. In fact, I was the first one to question the timing about it. It's like, why would you do this on a day where you have the biggest game against your biggest rival, and we can argue about that all day, but it's the biggest rival. Okay, just allow me that one win, and we can talk about San Jose and the LA Galaxy some other time.
A rivalry game.
Yeah, it's there we go. So, although as somebody pointed out to me, that so far the El Traficos have mirrored basically what Chivas USA games were.
It's not much different.
Not much different. So anyway, but the biggest rival. Why would you make that announcement on this? And certainly, whenever they appointed Junior Gonzalez interim LA Galaxy 2 head coach, that meant that they fired LA Galaxy 2 head coach Mike Munoz and assistant coaches Laurent Courtois, Jamie Harvey, and Andrew May. And, obviously that's not great PR. And by the way, I use the term fired instead of parted ways because that's what happened. They were fired. They were let go. So, are you trying to bury that information? I talked to the Galaxy about it just in terms of the timing. And basically they said, with the visas that came through, that Juan Carlos Ortega basically was, they didn't want to announce him until his visa came through, and they were advised by a lawyer that wouldn't work. And so that's why the timing comes, and the fact that they had then released Mike Munoz the day before and then needed Junior Gonzalez to be on the bench the next following day on Saturday for LA Galaxy 2, so everybody was going to find out. So listen, it's not comfortable, and certainly if you release a press release on a Friday, you're trying to hide something, especially on the
it's big news.
It's big. It is big news because Mike Munoz was one of the longest tenured LA Galaxy.
He'd been there a while.
He'd been there a very long time. So it is. And by the way, there's no quote. The LA Galaxy didn't put out a quote that said, "Oh, Dennis Nicolosi didn't say we thank Mike Munoz for his time and all that." And I was a little disappointed in that. But
is it possible that it's coming? Is it still early, or it would have happened by now?
No, it would have happened. It would have been in the press release.
Yeah.
I mean,
And here's my only pushback to that would be, let's say they do this not on the day of El Trafico, they do it on a different day. Is there really huge uproar of them being released, given that they're, I'm pulled up the standings here, 12th out of 18th in the Western Conference in the USL Championship. Maybe not necessarily. We talked about playing a style in the Leagues Cup and in the Open Cup. Maybe, Mike Munoz wasn't necessarily on the same page. Maybe not even to his own fault, but just because he was part of a previous establishment as opposed to the new regime that's been brought in. It wouldn't have necessarily been a shock or surprising had the news dropped on a different day. So that's my one pushback against that.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but I don't know that there would have been huge uproar. Why is this happening if the release happened on another day?
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same thing with you. I mean, that is what you look at. And this, I did get to talk to Mike Munoz just real briefly, and basically, to paraphrase what Mike was saying and how he went about this. He said he wasn't surprised by the move. He was just hoping that he would get till the end of the season to sort of do that. And it came down as it is. And listen, it's normal that you bring a guy in, and so you bring in this. Let's see, what's his name again?
Osorio.
Yeah,
not
Juan
Osorio.
Carlos Ortega. Yeah, not Osorio.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah.
Mexican national team, Juan Carlos.
Right,
yeah.
you bring in Ortega, he's going to want to bring in his own guys.
Yeah.
And so this is just about bringing in his own guys, and that's pretty normal across. I mean, he's now in charge of the academy. You would imagine that the academy coaches all throughout are sort of like, okay, better pay attention because if this guy doesn't like what we're doing, we're not going to do it. I love the hire just because of the large Mexican-American confluence here in Los Angeles.
We talked about it when DTK got brought in. That's if someone could, somehow have the magic key to unlock that untapped potential. It hasn't been done yet. But if the Galaxy Academy could be that pipeline, we'd gladly welcome it.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so that's where that is. So, all the best to Mike Munoz, who's always been great to us on this show whenever I covered LA Galaxy 2 for a couple seasons and really dug into that. You okay over there?
I'm okay.
Okay.
You can't see me.
Did
I'm
you
not even
fall
here.
off the bleachers over there?
The
What's
darn
happening?
iPad's not staying up here.
Are you destroying things?
It's because I'm looking up the USL Championship standings.
Are you breaking things?
Yeah, this is why they let go of people.
We're gonna have to put a
Again,
press release up.
Not gonna make light of it.
No,
that
of
was
course
bad.
not. That was not nice.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, Zlatan Ibrahimovic not going to be suspended, Eric.
How do we not talk about that? How many minutes are we in?
We're 49 minutes, basically. 49 minutes into it.
Well, it's because there's no news.
It's not a news. There's not a thing. This whole fervor controversy, in my opinion, was overblown from the very beginning. It's an unfortunate, and if you don't know, Zlatan Ibrahimovic goes up for a header in the 94th minute of El Trafico. His left arm comes up and makes contact with the face of Mohamed El Munir, and then basically breaks a bone in his face. Now, maybe Eric and I sat here beforehand and we're feeling the bones on our face, and we're like, one of these is really thin.
And we Googled where it was.
Yeah.
And if you've seen pictures that were tweeted out of the fracture, it's basically, not necessarily the orbital socket, because that's a different, but right underneath your eye, there's, a segment of your skull, and that's the part.
And where it meets the orbital.
It's the part where it connects with the other section. So it's not like it was the middle of a bone that fractured it. It was the area. It's just unfortunate. And my initial look, and I told you this, I thought maybe is Zlatan going after him. He looked up and he made contact. He catches him, but at the same time, was it intentional? And my argument against that is that when we've seen Zlatan be intentional, and when he's intentional, he's being intentional. And I don't think he was doing that. He wasn't targeting El Munir for the 90 minutes previous up to that. So I just don't feel like it was intentional. Was it unfortunate? Absolutely. You don't want to wish to break any bones or to hurt anybody, regardless of how badly you think the rivalry is. You don't want to hurt and break bones and put someone out for a serious number of games. But I have a tough time looking back at it. First glance, it looks bad. Well, but if MLS looked at it, the referees looked at it, they consulted other people, and they decided that it was not intentional, I can live with that.
They talked about the arm not being tense. They talked about the fist not being closed.
The elbow not being cocked.
And he didn't cock the elbow, all of these things. And that's what I see, too, whenever I watch it. That's why I'm like, it's just unfortunate. I mean, Zlatan's
and he's also
dude.
6'5" and jumping up for a ball against someone who's a shorter opponent who didn't make a full jump. Here's just the perfect storm of bad things to happen.
And by the way, and I know all of the listeners...
And clearly we're a Galaxy podcast, so we're going to lean that way.
Well, the other part about this is that there is a tackle on Joe Corona in, I think, the 82nd minute by El Munir.
Yeah.
And he comes in. That is the clearest red card out of all of these.
Stamp, yes.
And they even agreed that it was a red card, but that it wouldn't meet the level of a 2-game suspension. Here's where MLS gets this wrong, okay? The disciplinary committee can't suspend for any less than 2 games. Okay, this is a rule that they created. I don't understand. I don't think there's any FIFA rule that dictates that they can't do it. But basically what it means is that we're only trying to
serious offenses.
Yeah, evaluate serious offenses and stuff that was missed in a lot of ways, right? And that's the real problem, is that with VAR, with Kevin Stott, with Jair Marufo, Kevin Stott was the VAR and Marufo was the center referee. They allowed this to be a physical game. It was a physical game, and they missed these calls. El Munir was a clear red card. It should have been. It was a stomp. It should have been, and they agreed it would have been a red card, and he would have missed the game. But they said it didn't rise to the level of a 2-game suspension.
Okay.
And the same with Zlatan, by the way. They say it was a yellow card, it was a red card, maybe it was close, but it doesn't rise to the level of a 2-game suspension. And if MLS is going to hide behind this and say, okay, well, the disciplinary committee can only do those 2 games, that's a cop-out. And you need to start understanding that VAR is not perfect because it's driven by referees who have already shown themselves not to be perfect. So you do all this, and you get to that thing, and I mean, just the overreaction. This is Nigel de Jong all over again. It hurts my head, and I'm like, go back and watch Nigel de Jong tackles in Major League Soccer. One of them is like a clear red card. Yeah. The rest are sort of like borderline orange, yellow, and the guy missed 3 games.
And it's to a history, and that's the other thing that I want to speak on, is the narrative that the league is protecting Zlatan, because the league has suspended him in the past. He's slapped people, he's choked people, and they've taken disciplinary action against him. So if the league felt like there needed to be disciplinary action against him, they discipline him, and I just don't buy that they're trying to protect Zlatan in any way, because given how he's speaking about the league and the things that he's saying, and some of the way that he's handled past players, they have no reason to protect him. So I don't like the narrative that MLS is just protecting the Galaxy and protecting Zlatan. I don't see it that way.
Yeah, and I know the LA Galaxy, it seems like they worked pretty hard to make sure that Zlatan wasn't targeted in this. And here's the thing. If you're going to suspend Zlatan, which I would have been okay with, ultimately, I think it's borderline
I could
enough.
see it.
I could be like, okay, yeah, you could have done it, and I could see it. You also would have had to suspend Elmaner, and you had to do it while he's injured, which is a horrible PR thing to have to be doing. Then you probably have to suspend Fabio Alvarez,
yep.
and then you have to suspend Carlos Vela,
yep.
right? So like you start going back
and that's why it makes even more sense now, because if they open that can of worms and you say, okay, now we're going to suspend Zlatan, then maybe our supporters groups put out a letter and say, why don't you look at this incident? And then now you can look at every single incident, and that's why you get into this issue, is because in any given game, not just El Trafico, you can go back to, any other game this season, New England versus the Galaxy, and I'm sure if you slow down and watch the tape of all 22 players for a full 90 minutes, you can find something that you can go back and suspend a player for. I'm almost certain that you can do that. So you're not going to go back. They let it be a physical game. So if you know it's a physical game, you know things got testy. If you went back and looked at every moment, of course you can go back and you could suspend 10 players in that game. But you're just not going to do it. You let them play. It happened on the field. You move on and move forward.
By the way, I'm just going to put this out there, and however people take this, you can take this. If you're a supporters group, it doesn't benefit you to put out a statement trying to get somebody suspended. And because then the league itself is going to be pushed against that, be like, well, we can't be told by a supporters group
it sets
what
a precedent.
to do. It sets a precedent.
Yeah.
So they're not going to want to do that. So just sit tight on those. It also doesn't behoove you to go on Instagram and complain about a guy who scored 3 goals on you and made you look a little foolish and shooting stars.
Call it a punch. And
call it a punch.
It wasn't a punch.
Yeah. There's just there were a lot of L's taken this week by a certain side of this rivalry. And I don't know.
It's a rough week. A rough week if you're a fan of the black and gold.
If there was pro rel, they might be relegated at this point. Just in some of the things that went on. So obviously a little Galaxy slant on that, but you have to understand the ramifications of the choices that you make throughout all these things. So, it's one of those things. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going to be available. Now, I'll remind you, Zlatan Ibrahimovic on yellow card warning. So there's a very good chance he gets a yellow card in Portland and won't be available to play in Atlanta. They'll probably still allow him to play in the MLS All-Star game, which comes up on 7/31. But if he was suspended
does that count as a game that he would miss?
No, it doesn't count as a game, but he wouldn't be allowed to play in it. So he would technically, so you don't play Portland, you don't play All-Star, and then you don't play Atlanta as well.
Well, maybe this is a gamesmanship thing. Okay, here's tinfoil hat. Maybe they are protecting him. If they suspend him, then he says, well, I'm not playing in your All-Star game. So maybe they are playing nice with him.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate. There you go. The other side. You hear that, LAFC fans? I'm on your side.
Yeah, huh? You look like it. You're dressing the part.
Don't single out that audio.
Whatever. I imagine they're staying away from this chat room. They were in it last week.
Yeah.
But this week,
nowhere to be found.
They're chilling.
Maybe they're camouflaged.
You can't see them. They're creeping. Weekly schedule right now for the LA Galaxy coming up. They will. I've been told, by the way, that earlier training on Thursday than the 10 a.m. scheduled start time, probably because it's hot. And probably because they're going to get out of there on Friday for the travel day. So they're up on Friday to Portland, and then the 7:30 p.m. game on Saturday. They'll travel on Sunday, and then they're off on Monday. So a little break there. Injury update. Here we go. Roman Alessandrini, we knew was out, and he was not supposed to be back until September. Guillermo Barros-Schelotto dropping a little Guige bomb whenever he comes in and says that he expects, his timeline is that Roman Alessandrini will begin training again with the LA Galaxy the end of July and the beginning of August, which is...
That's a bomb.
Like now.
Yeah, end of July is
like next
essentially
week.
Now. And if you, again, follow at Galaxy Profile, Alessandrini, after the LAFC game, posted videos of himself, training and working hard. The
abs? Yeah. You saw the abs.
The abs. Well, to me, it was the legs. It was the legs. He's trying to rehab and get right. And so I believe it. It looks like he's on track to get back out there and training. And that's a lot earlier than we were expecting. Yeah. So that'd be great if we can get him back in the lineup and they start clicking now. Man, this is a team. Why am I excited? Why am I excited?
Don't do it.
Don't peak too soon. All right.
Second place, by the way. LA Galaxy
on.
Continue to be in second place. Continue to be third. If you go back and you look at the chart of where their positioning has been in this league this year, holy crap, they've been at the top of it for almost the entire year.
Well, MLS went and released the graphic. They actually usually save it for the end of the season.
They just couldn't resist.
Yeah, where they have the little lines and the bouncing logos. And so that, go find the MLS account in that video. It's always fun to watch. Again, Galaxy pretty much stay where they are, but there are a lot of movement with other teams around the league.
Now let's talk about Christian Pavone. Nope, wait, one more second. So if you go back and you look, the 37 points the LA Galaxy have right now, there are currently, through 21 games, okay, 37 points through 21 games. I can count 2011 as being a better season right now. That
was a good year.
I can count 2010 as being a better season.
It's a decent year.
I can count 1998 as being a better season.
Well, that's the anomaly. That's just...
And I can count 1996 as being a better season. That's it.
Okay. 2 shootout years, right?
Yeah, 96 and 98 I think were shootout years. And I think 98 had the ridiculous points.
That one just, no one's ever going to catch the 98 team.
No, 46 points through 21 games.
Yeah, that's insane.
So that's not happening. 2010, though, 43 points through 21 games.
And 2011, that's a bright spot if they're
2011,
landing around that.
39 points. Yeah. So, again, it's really hard for me to look at this and continue to be like, okay, where are they? Because the eye test says, nope, not yet.
Well, the first 20 games, the eye test, and you say,
then you saw
no,
one
they're
game.
not there.
Yeah.
But if you just watched Friday's game, you'd say, this team looks on par with that 2011 team, that 2010 team. So, which team is it? Are we going to see a different team down the stretch?
Guillermo Barros-Schelotto in his press conference, once again, referencing the Christian Pavone rumors. Somebody asked.
It won't die.
This was
dead.
It
just won't die.
It's like clear, and it just keeps, there's just like this little pulse that still goes there. Basically, he said that the LA Galaxy were going to make one final push for Christian Pavone, that they were going to make one more final offer to Boca. Boca has not necessarily been responsive, so basically it was a signal to Boca that either do this or don't, we're moving on after this, and that's it.
Yeah, we're going to come over the top one last time, so you would assume it's something higher than the $12 million.
No, I would have cut it. 11 and a half. You've been waiting too long. Let's go. Let's get it going.
Oh, okay. That's not the way I read that. That if they're going back to make a final push, that says,
well, the whole
if you guys don't like what we're offering, we'll give you just a little bit more to get it done now, and just tell us yes or we're walking.
It still seems like there's a possibility that this deal gets done in the wintertime more than it does here, and maybe Boca's happy. I know they've been making some moves and selling some players, so maybe they have enough money now that they're happy and they're not as in a different thing. The LA Galaxy, though, still seem like they're going to make a move in this window, August 7th.
Yeah, bring in Quaresma. Here he comes.
I still don't.
That's not a real thing.
Yeah, August 7th window closes, so you're getting closer. They're running out of time, but that's okay. Galaxy.
It sounds like they have a backup plan.
It feels like there was a backup plan, and so I don't know what that is, which is nothing new. I'm just some guy.
You're just a guy.
Just a guy standing in front of a girl.
Good times.
So that's where we sit on that. All right. I think that gets us all the way through everything. You know the schedule coming up. LA Galaxy going to Portland on Saturday. Next Saturday, it is against Atlanta. Remember, All-Star game in between.
And skills competition on Tuesday, which Jonathan Dos Santos will be taking a part of.
He's going to win it all.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
I think he's in the passing challenge with Nani.
Sunday, August 11th, so 2 back-to-back East Coast trips. Sunday, August 11th at DC United. Some nationally televised games. Let's see. Nationally televised this Saturday. Nationally televised next Saturday. Nationally televised on Sunday, August 11th. And then on Spectrum Sportsnet against the Houston Dynamo midweek game, Wednesday, August 14th. This is where it gets really, really crazy. So you go August 14th, Wednesday versus FC Dallas. You do Saturday, August 17th against Seattle at home. Then it is, you're going to have the Leagues Cup, August 20th. Then it's away, quote-unquote away. Nationally televised against Seattle too. Nationally televised against LAFC for version 5 of El Trafico. You then go away to Seattle, away to Colorado, home to Sporting Kansas City, home to Montreal, away to Real Salt Lake, home to Vancouver, and then away to the Houston Dynamo. If I am correct,
on decision day, payback.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The LA Galaxy have 5 home games remaining, not counting any Leagues Cup stuff.
Yep.
That's it.
It's gonna be a tough stretch.
This is where you get paid your money.
Yep.
On all this. But before they get to any of this really long stretch, they go up against a team that was just successful in the Cascadia rivalry, going against the Seattle Sounders. It's the Portland Timbers, who went to Seattle and beat Seattle 2-1.
Brian Fernandez on a tear.
They've been better on the road this year. Now they've also had a ton more road games, but they're 2-1-2, I think, at home. And so they've had trouble with teams who sit back and bunker, which just makes me think that the LA Galaxy are going to have a lot of success against them. So if we're ready to go there, if you're ready to go,
always ready.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet this week.
You do whatever you need to do. I don't want to influence anything that you do. But here we go. Let's get ready for the Portland Timbers, who host the LA Galaxy this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And that is
is
the wrong
not
button.
the music.
I was going to say, it would have been fun. You could have tried it.
I could have gone upbeat, right?
You could have been, come on, let's do it. All right, and
Take
now
two.
let's edit this out. Okay, and now we get you ready for the Portland Timbers, who host the LA Galaxy at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday.
Pack up your flannels and novelty mustache wax because the LA Galaxy are heading up to Portland. The game is set to kick off this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the newly renovated Providence Park. And while Portland is known for their lush greenery, don't expect to see it in the stadium because these guys have opted to go grass-free in the new digs. Both teams are red hot coming off emotional wins against their respective rivals. Will Brian Fernandez continue his goal streak, or will the Galaxy backline give Timber Joey the night off? It's beards and IPAs versus avocado toast and paper straws. The Portland Timbers versus the LA Galaxy. Let's get weird.
Oh, let's get weird. That's right. All right, very good. Nicely done. I like it. Short, sweet.
Again, I botched it a little bit at the beginning, but I think I recovered.
Full of organic greens, I would imagine.
Put a bird on it,
yeah.
right? Isn't that a Portland thing?
I don't know. Is it?
It's from Portlandia.
Lots of people are certainly going to be traveling out for this game. I know there's a large contingent, so please be safe as you travel up. The LA Galaxy 12-8-1, 37 points. Portland Timbers 8-8-4, 28 points. 2-1-2 for the Portland Timbers at home, and the LA Galaxy 4-4-1 on the road. They've had 13 points on the road so far. Actually above average, by the way, away points for the LA Galaxy, so don't freak out about these. I will say this, however. The LA Galaxy need to draw a darn game.
I'm actually okay with them not. It's that school of, if you
win, just win them. Just win them. Just win them all. I think I'm just going to try to win all the games. But they're going to come up against it at one point. They're going to be, behind, or they're going to be tied, and there's going to be 10 minutes left, and they need to figure out a way to just grind that out and take the point on the road. Because I'll tell you right now, 2 points from Portland and Atlanta, which everybody's saying, well, it could be 6 points. 2 points is better than 0 points. And that needs to, every point matters right now for the LA Galaxy, especially as these are difficult road games coming up. I mean, Atlanta is playing LAFC this weekend, so you're hoping that those two teams beat the crap out of each other.
And there's some suspension.
And there is a suspension in this game, Diego Chara.
Of consequence, given how Diego Chara plays.
Right.
Again, the player who's going to come up with yellow card accumulation, that's not a person you want against your team. So it's fortunate that he received the yellow in the Seattle game. So they'll be without Chara when the Galaxy comes to town.
Hey, Eric, do you know who the LA Galaxy love to beat up on?
The Portland Timbers.
The Portland Timbers, that's correct. 9-6-6 all time against the Portland Timbers. Oh, but Eric, do you know who loves to go up to Portland and beat the Portland Timbers?
Is it Ethan Zubak?
No, I don't think it is. It's the LA Galaxy.
Okay.
4-2-3 in Portland. My favorite one, of course, is David Beckham going up there and just
that was a good
putting on a show in front of the Timbers Army.
The silver ball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the silver ball. That's because the champions played with the silver ball that year. That's why. That game. So the LA Galaxy have a history of playing well in Portland. They have a history of dominating Portland 9-6-6. Listen, Portland's a dangerous team. I said that even though they are currently sitting 9th in the Western Conference and 17th in the Supporters Shield, they were a playoff team in my mind.
That's not where they're going to land.
No,
just how they started. They started the season pretty rough. But once they brought in Brian Fernandez and got those home games, this team is going to be dangerous. They're going to sneak into the playoffs, and the Galaxy might see him again after this.
Yeah, Brian Fernandez, by the way, 8 goals in 9 matches since he joined the team, so he's on a tear. You have Diego Valeri, who you have to worry about because that dude just finds goals or assists everywhere. He's 11 assists right now. Steve Clark is their goalkeeper, it looks like right now. 35 saves, 43 shots against. Hasn't played the whole time there. They've been switching back and forth. I think somebody's injured. I think Antonella is out injured right now. And then on the other side, you have David Bigham, who has 7 shutouts, 86 saves, 116 shots faced. You know about the injuries. Leggett, Pontius, and Kitchen are all question marks this week. So we don't know that they're out for sure.
But I wouldn't put them on your starting lineup sheet.
It doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be evaluated, and Guillermo said that he's waiting really for the medical clearance for these guys to get back. It just doesn't seem like we're quite there yet.
Yeah.
You may see it, though, at Atlanta. This feels like these guys are going to be back for Atlanta. And then what a great game to play. Get back on the turf. Two turf games
how's your
in a row.
pelvis doing? Get out there and run on the Falcons football field.
Yeah, everybody has a pelvis issue. I didn't see, nobody came up and said, hey, how's your pelvis to me at the game? And I was kind of disappointed.
Is that a pickup line, though?
It could be.
I'm married.
It could be.
Ask me how my pelvis is.
I mean, you can ask, but I just can't answer. That's really what it comes down to. 7:30 p.m. Pacific time is the kickoff. Game is on Fox Sports 1, FS1. Saturday, Providence Park is the place, so this one is away. It's on a Saturday night. Enjoy your time going up there. I know that's a big travel day for everybody. And
Yeah, big group. I initially had planned to go to this game, but
but then you realize you have kids, a wife, and responsibilities.
Well, my wife was going to go with me, but as hot as it's been, we picked a good time for the AC to go out. And I don't know if you've priced units. It's not cheap. So
it's not cheap.
Some things had to go the wayside.
I know where you can find a lot of hot air. There's a location in Los Angeles, but
so it's in the studio.
Yeah, that's always true. Hey, I want to give a big shout out as well. It was my birthday on the Leagues Cup. I am now 22 years old, as you would imagine.
Again?
Yeah, again. This hair falling out on top is an indication I'm 22 years old.
I wasn't going to say it. Not on the day after your birthday.
I wanna say somebody gave me a birthday card, which is not only just a birthday card, it's a customized.
I was going to say custom card. That is impressive.
Gerald and Francis gave it to me. Also gave me some great stickers. Gerald at AcerX0, ACERX0 on Twitter, if you're looking for him, and also gave me some cool stickers.
The El Trafico
sticker. It's almost like a split scarf, but it's better because it's not a split scarf. You don't want one of those like two-sided scarves, things like the match day.
I've got a split scarf.
Yeah, of course you do. But no, I really love these. I think these are great. These are great. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see me. I'm holding it up and sort of doing it and all that. And then of course a huge shout out to Sarah and our I say like one of our favorite listeners, Sarah, because I feel like she listens to every show and then she comes and talks to me and then yells at me a little bit and tells me why I'm
Sarah's
stupid.
the best.
Yeah, Sarah's awesome, and she always says hi at halftime, so you can meet Sarah too.
She's part of the halftime group.
She is. So Sarah and her family, her dad, got me a small cake, a nothing bundt cake.
Oh.
They sang happy birthday to me.
I missed the wrong game.
Yeah, they sang happy birthday to me in front of a whole bunch of people. I still don't know what to do with my hands whenever somebody sings you happy birthday. Luckily, I was holding the cake this time, so it was like, yay, thank you. Still one of those crazy things.
Good times.
Yeah, so Sarah and her family got that. There were some other people there that I said hi to. Lots of people wishing me happy birthday. It was really nice. Really appreciate it. It was fun.
That's what it's all about.
My son's in town, so we had a good time. We're doing everything we can to have a good time, and I'm actually celebrating my birthday on Thursday with my son, whose birthday was July 3rd, and has indicated to me that it's actually his birthday.
Yeah, it's his birthday month.
Yeah, not my birthday.
You get overruled.
Yeah, he's like, Dad, what kind of cake are we getting? And I'm like, what? It's my birthday. I don't understand what
the royal we.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, what kind of cake are you getting? I'm like, I was thinking about just going tiramisu and not going with cake. He's like, no, that's not
pie.
vetoed.
No, pro move is to go pie.
Why?
Why? Because pie's better.
No, tiramisu is a trifle. And if you are a corner of the galaxy listener and you remember the trifle dessert argument that we had like circa 2010, then that I tip my hat to you.
That precedes me. So
yeah, it was.
Shout out to you if you're one of the longtime listeners there.
Yeah. It's one of those.
But happy belated, Josh.
Yeah, that's thank you. I appreciate it. So anyway, so it was a good time. Everybody had a good time, and like I said, that Xolos game, the game was entertaining.
It was fun.
I didn't want to like it, and I ended up liking it. So
that's the thing. Like everything, you always hate it at first.
Yeah.
But you always come around. Predictions for this Saturday?
Timbers extend their undefeated streak to 5 matches. The LA Galaxy are 5 wins, 3 losses in their last 8 games. The LA Galaxy have a history of beating Portland. They have a history of
not in the Open Cup.
You just don't. That's fine.
And that's okay.
Give me a tournament that means something, and
something like the Leagues Cup,
like the Leagues Cup, where you get paid. And I don't get paid though. But how do I get money for going to I need to figure that out. So anyway, doing all that, I say that the LA Galaxy get a victory against Portland.
Wow.
They're riding a high. I think they're riding a higher high than Portland is. I think Portland struggles at home because they struggle to break down teams that bunker against them. I think Brian Fernandez is going to be a handful, but at the same time, I think the LA Galaxy, who have, I think, the 4th best defense in Major League Soccer, or at least they were before they played LAFC, have the guns to be able to handle it. Diego Polenta, Giancarlo Gonzalez, Dan Steres.
Yeah, they're all coming back. So
they're all there. Yeah. I'm trying to think. They're probably going to start Rolf Felcher, I would imagine, with Araujo starting.
If you sick Diego Polenta on Brian Fernandez, I like that.
Yeah, that seems like that might work. So all those things, you put those all together, and for me, it seems like the LA Galaxy have a good chance to win this. I'll say, if I'm being realistic and I sort of take out the momentum that maybe they have, this is a draw loss, because I think Portland is a good team.
Yeah, 538. When I hear 538, they got Portland with a 56% chance to win, which is actually pretty high percentage. Galaxy 23% chance. A tie at 21. I think this could be. I don't want to call it a trap game because it's an away game and Portland's a good team.
It's a trap.
But I think they're riding really high right now, and this may be away on turf. This may be something where the Galaxy stumble a little bit. I could see a 2-1 loss here. Maybe they're close and then it falls apart. Falls apart late.
I hate games on turf because the ball never seems to settle.
That's what I'm saying. It's just things. literally
You're talking me
cannot
out
bounce
of it.
their way.
You're talking me out of it. I just feel like there's too
No,
much
stick
history.
with it. That way, one of us is right, one of us is wrong, and that way
It'll
everyone's
be a
happy next
It'll be
week.
a draw, and that's where we'll be. All right. I think that about does it. Are we good then?
We're good. If you could see me, yeah.
As soon as you show up. All right. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, and we'll get on out of here.
You can find me on Twitter at GISHammer. You could also hear me occasionally on Guys in Shorts. That podcast, you can find those guys at Guys in Shorts Pod. You could also follow me on Instagram with a professional foul. That's at Galaxy Pro Foul. That's Galaxy PROFOUL.
All right. If you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can see our Monday shows with Kevin Baxter, and of course our Thursday/Wednesday shows all the time, live here on YouTube and then out on podcasts as well. Again, please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, turn on your notifications. It helps us. We're actually almost in that monetization zone, which means that I will have to fight all these copyright violations that I always get that aren't copyright violations because I own the rights to the music, or at least I have the rights to the music. I don't own the rights, but I have the rights to the music, so I can actually do this. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else?
Well, let's sing the Leagues Cup theme.
The Leagues. Go ahead.
Do we have the rights for that?
Yeah.
The Leagues Cup.
Wow, that's horrible. All right. For Eric the Portuguese Hammer, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.